Hey, this is Misery Loves Company, a weekly social reading series hosted by miserytourism.com. Every Friday, we welcome outsider and transgressive writers to come and share their work with us. Yeah, it's Friday again, and so let's get to this. I believe David's up first.
All right, man. Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Okay, cool. Right. All right. I'm just gonna read two little poems I just wrote this week, so I'll give it a go. So these are first one's called Repetitions. 5 times, 5 times 5, a cry from a throatless sky. 2 tongues with collars on dog leads pant, then scrape against thoughts, falling through a siren's rust-tinctured laugh. Syllables of bones forming a mouth too full of teeth. A loving hand 2 centimeters away from comforting touch retreat back up the wrist, leaving finger-shaped mists that flesh into judgmental flowers, tickling noses forming sneezes. The ear opens to tectonic tears. The eyes, they are a-crying. The mind is elsewhere. Blue echoes sky in mentioned eyes, scared of shutting. 5 times, 5 times 5, repeat when at climax of distress. Illogical, still helps. A paw print on the underside of a pelican's beak. Diving down, fetal moan, slingshot snap, perspective of a projectile hurtling. A man eating French fries in a cardboard box, singing made-up songs in a language even he doesn't even understand. Sucks down a cloud, swallows, smiles, keeps eating, keeps singing. A kitchen knife scream cuts through his vowels, forms crosshair distortion. We both laugh, a sky each on the tip of our tongues. And the next one, if I find it. This is called Edge of Night. Teeth touch deep, slide into growing swells. Panic drags clouds down sides of flesh-weaved sky. A homeless man goes down a slide and smiles in an empty park as the sun tiptoeing to set shanks orange lines that trace rusted metal, sad as a cabbage in a baby's toothless grimace. A shackled ghost, holding one of its legs like a rifle, pretends to shoot the man, glitching down the slide. A man in a barely furnished apartment watches. He is stained in every sense. A woman in a local insane asylum is screaming. She sounds like a train squealing around the London Underground. A back door slams shut. A dark wind crouches in my heart. It is 2 sentences away from springing. That's it. Thank you.
David, those were beautiful, just gorgeously written poems. I love that second poem. I love that second poem because like the imagery is so dark, but yet there's like the way it's written is, I don't know, I don't know if euphonic is the right word. It's like it's not only beautifully written, it sounds beautiful. Like on like a syllabic level, it's just beautiful to hear, even as it's full of all this really dark imagery. I love the the shackled ghost holding his leg like a rifle. That's like an unbelievably vivid and intense image. And you have all of these just images, these really like literally haunting and despairing images. And yet the poem is just like sounds so beautiful. And the first one is just absolutely gorgeous. Un just just a really gorgeous piece of writing. Thank you, David. Thank you. Sorry for
Thank
rambling.
you.
Um, and Colton's up next. Colton, you are 2 for 2 now for Misery Loves Companies.
It's so weird because like when I'm here, I'm not working, so I'm not making money, but who cares? I'm with my parents. It's good to be here.
That's what I say every day of my life.
Man, I don't know. I'm just fucking knock on whatever wood's around me. I love my parents. I'm glad they're alive. The fact that we all went through the pandemic, none of me, my parents, none of us got COVID. Jesus Christ, I could fucking go on. We have all escaped death. Okay, so these decided to read a bunch of poems because I don't know if I'll be here next week. Probably not. This first one that I'm gonna read, that Word doc is working, right, William? I'd have to check with you every time.
Yes, perfectly.
Cool. Okay. So this first poem, I got published at Don't Submit. I really dig them. I wrote this piece when had my keys locked in my trunk and I was in a library and I was just pissed off. But I was thinking about Boomland, which is a real place. And sorry, this is a tangent, but Boomland is this fireworks shop in Missouri, and they have fireworks of like some kid of like some employee's son or something that died. And so there's like fireworks with like this kid. I'll have to post on Twitter and link it in the chat, but it's fireworks with like a dead kid on it. It's I don't know. This is a great place. This is the first poem is called Boomland. Go die there, mon frere, like your children fair. What even keeps you here? Exit 10 off-ramp offerings, Roy G. Biv pyrotechnics and dislodging attractions and bloodstream extremities. Digital-only quick service shakeup. Could y'all take my picture? Thanks. Just make sure you get my good side. Leaving loved ones behind to go sparkler spelling with your new friends who are being dumb and pushing their entire thumbs through the tops of Bud Heavy cans. Bags under cheesy eyes, blueberry biohazards, diesel dependence, piano keys for teeth, army crawling away from fuse-lit rockets. Drinking water contamination, IV slow drip dementia, class economy participation slipping into absentia. Lungs like airbags, blowing air horns for toad races. Septic, longing, stasis. What the fuck? Lag? I'm sorry, I cracked those 13 eggs, like you said, but I broke all 13 yolks. I'm feeling weird today, man. Red ticker on E, ears ringing. Time up, you wake up with your arms and legs buckled and secured to an electric chair. Last look at the crowd, staring. Then your cerebrum explodes. This next poem, Thrive, I wrote it after I went to the liquor store and I bought alcohol from all the Axis powers. Okay. The allure of poetry's cunt, stink sack smeared into freeway, hearing what desperate cries should sound like. When you pass away, your throat stops swallowing and your tongue doesn't pull back loose drool anymore. So all the stuff that's usually floating around in your mouth starts to bubble and leak out slowly. Trade tracking beautiful love, buying alcohol from the Axis powers. You're so deprived, that's for sure. Go put your ear against anything. You'll hear the screams of slaves. Wait, is that a new puzzle? Yeah, last puzzle was too hard. Dissolving conversation. Chugging to Serrano in the underground parking garage. Landscape shot. Your friend just wants to be silly, but the fun police come by and they say, hey man, you can't be that silly in here. You discover yourself, then you hear yourself, then you understand yourself, then you start to see what all of this is really doing to you. You must now enter the do not enter room. I'm so ogre it. What'd you say? Sorry, I'm being weird again. Unboxing white peanuts. I'm just right here. Where was I? Oh yeah. Wiley E. Coyote falling off a cliff. Bookmarking boobs.com. Keep walking. Keep up. Keep everything together. Keep me out of this, please. Newspaper article. Nothing there. A second chance to change, except that I thrive on eating people alive. This next piece I wrote, it was like I was watching chess videos on YouTube really high at 3 a.m. and I just decided to write this piece in like a chess style. I don't know. It's called Why Is It So Quiet in Here? Made in 10. Latching onto extremes. Pickled spirits. Unsealed guts. Sides tickled by skeeters. The material world in Espanol. The spiritual world as a demonstrative Latin article. El Vaquero sleeps alone now with a gator hide hip hugger and his rusted spurred boots. Mate Nate. Testimony in the HOV. Absence absolving Old Testament crimes. New Bellevue black spades driving into tall, uncut grass. Mate 7. Pepperoncini 3/4. Calabrian peppers 3/4. Them boys are on sabbatical vacation. They probably got Tennessee hookers' titties in their mouths right about now. Mate 6. Clark Tower 14th floor therapy appointment, 4:30 p.m. Annual visit Monday, August 21st, 4 p.m. Maiden 5. Monster truck tires skull crushing every ounce of your depression. Bill Clinton's wide smiling face, turnstile smushed into a 1996 penny. The moment my scab turns blue, I hope that the drugs take you and put you somewhere far away. Maiden 4. Tabasco, chili oil, eating what you kill, fryer oil blister bubble. Politicians as pests, bugs. Do y'all only got them white lady eyelashes? Milky Way, Milky Way. Like the chocolate bar? Maiden 3. Business class smoking the finest American Airlines Winston cigarettes. Clocked out on womps, munching on deli cup oranges sliced evenly. It's a towel, not a rag. I suppose I'm in the business of cleaning manhole covers, chef. Maiden 2. Strolling into a concrete mall, looking over a balcony railing, shouting in a cappella. Maiden 1. Combine, condense, complete marriage. All right, this next piece I wrote this was a message that Jeff sent me on Twitter because we're working on big things, and the term forthcoming as fuck was used, and I was like, damn, that's a really cool title for a poem. So yeah, forthcoming as fuck. If you want my skin, come and fucking take it. Okay, whatever, that's fine. Just don't bother me. I'm gonna go jack off and eat banana bread. I'm so happy. I'm so evil. Believe me, I don't like it either. Can you stop fucking kicking me, cock knocker? Those waffles were so good they could find my G-spot in a dark room. Steak frites dipped in Mormon ketchup, ordering PENICILLIN. On shuffle, mayhem, chainsaw guts fuck. How would you rate this ad? Was it relevant to you? Is it okay if I kidnap and torture you? Okay, thought I'd ask first. Goobertown does not exist. I'm not here, please. I can have a bourbon, please. You picked me, I picked you. History sliding under money walls. Internet text transferred to raw material. Jet ink on paper. Witches don't brew shit like this anymore. The words of people too good for this world. Funneled into mashing motions of my fingers. For your eyes, they saw everything I did, and now the pressure is on us because your words float and my words are bent. This piece is about porn and alcohol. It's called Playboy Cheater Glass. W sitting, ultra feelings, centering sand, lightning castles, bedroom ceilings, nerve compression, secret tunnel lipping, pink string bell hoppers, death in correspondence, philosophy is pocket lint, Joan Jett, Donna Summer, on polycystic ovary syndrome, motel pool adult swim cannonballs, fire engine discharge hose sprinkler system, smooth skating at the shopping center roller rink, diner display case full of cubed green and red jello, reaching for my close for comfort heart depressant, that clear hand-blown bullet shooter imprinted with a brunette silhouette outline of a Bunny Mansion model, naked and finger holding a revolver, her body half transparent, half brown liquor, thrown back into me. All right. And this last piece is from this is from the new book that I'm getting that Jeff is helping me publish through Pig Roast. The title is Abuser. If you buy Adam Johnson's book, covered in Suing for Peace and covered in Sharpie, you'll get a little piece of paper, and it's got the info on there. But yeah, this is a poem that I wrote after my old friend I played pinball with was talking to me about his dad being in the homicide department, and I was reading about the Candyman serial killer. It's called Fried Oreos and Funnel Cake. I am the Red Viper. I hear voices in running water. Giles' theme is always playing in my head, especially when I stalk people at night. You played with yourself in a New York taxi. The driver didn't hear you. Your nails were painted black that day. Have you seen that webpage that shows famous women's hairy armpits? Hold on, let me show you. A pencil-drawn sign taped to the front of a bottle of catsup that reads, "Don't throw me away." Air Force divorce, taking over the family candy business. Honorable discharge, taking different shortcuts home so that the people following you can't find a pattern. Cleaning up your dirty apartment. I remember the bathroom door barely closed because of that big pile of clothes. Tie-dye 123 uploading videos of maggots and worms festering around men's bleeding penis holes and torn apart foreskin on motherless.com. That's real shit, by the way. That's real. Farming corpse beetles, sharing woody fair treats, big white gas-filled pill containers stacked in a shipping yard, pothole puddle bird bath, slacker roller coaster attendee, an unlocked porta potty, the sexy sun hypothesis, console full of skull cans, notice of legal rights, eating mustard-covered Prano pups dipped in creek water. This is my friend Jim. He was in Vietnam in Desert Storm. Before 9/11 in the 90s, he worked for AT&T by putting networks up in the Caribbean and in South America. After the attack on the towers, he joined Boeing for a minute as a pilot and then retired. Now he just travels and goes to different craft shows up and down the East Coast. He carries that jeweled dragon head cane with him because of, well, back surgery, literally, but he also enjoys collecting rocks and minerals for their healing properties. One time he asked me if I practiced the craft. I said no, but I respected the craft. Jim tells me he likes to look for skulls and antlers for his various altars. Lucky for him, I know a guy. I told him I'd give him some horns if he gave me some wisdom about America going against China with this Taiwan thing, and all he said was, knowing what I know about America and our defenses, I think we'll be fine. 2020 Lamar Drive, home of the Candyman. I lead myself willingly into hell, like a good country should. Come on, let me be your monster. My dad worked in homicide for 10 years. Mom wasn't around a lot, so he used to take me to Gaston Hospital. I'd sit in a maroon chair in the emergency room for hours on the weekends. I still think about seeing guys come in with their chewed up shoulders half blown away by shotgun pellets. I did this a lot. I wasn't allowed to do cool stuff like go to Liberty Land or watch movies at the cinema. I just wasn't allowed to do anything fun. One time I tried to ask my dad if we could go to the city island when it reopened as that bicentennial volunteer park or whatever so that I could ride the monorail. But my dad said no because that muddy island used to be a dumping ground for dead bodies. I was told to never go over there. He also said he sometimes heard quiet whispers and screams mixed in tune with the sound of the waves crashing together in the rushing Mississippi River. And that's it.
Colton, first of all, congratulations. I had no fucking idea. Has there been an official announcement of the book yet? Or was that the official announcement of the book?
Well, this is just, I mean, it's Misery Loves Company. Like, I always fucking try to put as much as my personal life on this place. And, you know, I got Adam's book and saw it, and then just, you know, seeing it in writing was like, to me, like that made it official. And of course, I probably should have talked to Jeff before this, but, you know, I'd asked him, like, can I read anything from my book? And he was like, yeah, of course, it's your fucking book, you know, and I was, you know, I'm still nervous about it, but I don't know. It's nice. You know, I tried to do like a self-publishing thing, but I was just like, this sucks. I hate formatting. Word document and Amazon are the devil. But Jeff, you know, I got drunk one night, sent the manuscript to Jeff, and Jeff was like, bro, if this is done, let's do it. Like, let's go. And I was like, yeah, let's do it.
That is fucking awesome. That's fucking awesome. And yeah, Amazon KDP is a fucking nightmare. I fooled around with it a little bit a few years ago. But no, I mean, I've seen the books that Jeff puts out. He sent me a bunch of them, and they're gorgeous fucking books. And you know how much I respect your work. And so I'm really excited about this. This is awesome, especially coming on the heels of Adam's work. I feel like Jeff is starting to put out like the best of Misery Loves Company here, which is fucking incredible.
Oh yeah, I mean, and
sorry.
fucking, you know, Gabriel, like, he's got, you know, his book too, and I mean, Lisa Carver, like, I mean, just
Gabe
like,
has a book coming out on Pig Roast? I didn't fucking know. I didn't hear.
did I spill something? Was I not supposed to say anything?
No, Jeff made that announcement, I think, like 3-4 months ago. Yeah,
Oh
my
fuck!
novel.
I'm sorry, man. I totally fucking somehow I didn't end up on my Twitter feed or whatever. That's awesome. Is it your novel or?
Yeah, the one. Yeah, I've read stuff from here before, but yeah, spring. If all goes well, spring 24.
Fucking awesome. 2024 is going to be a good year, I think. I think it's going to be a fucking awesome year.
I have to say, 2023 Christmas is about to be real fucking sweet, and then 2024, right? Woo, it's gonna be fucking good.
So Colton, I do want to say something about these poems because, as always, I am in awe of the range of your style. You have like half a dozen or more different poems here, and every one is in a different style, and every one fucking works. You're using so many different techniques here, and they're structured differently, they're tonally different. Everything about every one of these poems, I don't think if you showed these poems to a random person, they would intuit that they were written by the same author, except for like there are a few thematic things, like there are always like a few really gross moments, there's always some food stuff, and there's always that wonderful like mix of like really dark, gruesome truths about life with this odd sense of nostalgia and beauty. And man, these all work. They're incredible, and I'm really hyped about your book. Could you say the title again so Rudy can tweet it out if he hasn't already?
The title is Abuser,
Abuser.
all caps.
Well, they can't fucking cancel you if your first non-self-published book is just called Abuser. Like, how
I
do
mean,
they
I'm just
like you're SEO optimizing for the day you get canceled? Because they're like, if somebody starts tweeting, oh, Colton, like he's an abuser, it's like, yeah, hell yeah, buy my book.
bro, yeah, like by the way, here's the link, bitch. Like
Anyway, thank you, Colton. It's awesome as always. Hopefully, we will see you again in the not too distant future.
hopefully, maybe I'll break my legs and then I'll be able to stay at home. Who knows?
All right, Rudy's up next. Oh shit, Goldeneye.
So Colton, that mate and the mate and series of poems that really made me jealous, man. Those were really fucking good. Love that shit.
Thank you,
Um,
man.
Yeah, I love anything chess related, so that's like super like in my territory. I love the last one especially. That was fucking that's great and dark. But yeah, yeah. So I've got a couple poems here. One is Goldeneye, but I figure since can you guys hear me okay from this angle or
Yeah, perfectly.
okay. So I'm gonna read these, but I have my these are actually very villainous poems. So because I'm a villain, brought my cat Igor here. He's actually a stuffed cat, but he's a real. He's hey Igor. There you
You should
go.
have Colton's dad assess the quality of Igor's taxidermy.
I'm sure it's not very great because it's like one of the first ones this guy who did it. He was a cool guy, but this is one of the first ones he did that was a pet. So he said, he wasn't sure like how to go about it. So he used a bobcat frame, and he put my cat. The rest of the body looks good, but the head is not exactly. The dog is actually better than that. But yeah,
That looks
anyway,
like it's not Street Fighter. It's that one fighting game with the leopard head guy. Soul Calibur.
Armor King from Tekken, right?
Or it's either Tekken or Soul Calibur. Yeah, I think it's Tekken. Yeah.
Okay, yep, Armor King. Fuck yeah, dude. Oh yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna be petting my cat while I read these two villainous deals here. So this one's called GoldenEye 007. These are from my Game Loop series of poems, which are basically about every game that I ever played, or close. I don't know. All right, so this is called GoldenEye 007. I gave a good chunk of my childhood to a collection of pixels that looked vaguely like British fop Pierce Brosnan. I only wish I could have given more, but what would have been even better would be to have his cheat codes active, toggleable in real life, where the physics engine is more turned up and the story isn't a movie tie-in, unless you're one of those people who's like, my life a movie. Yeah, nigga, Tokyo Story. Damo Origato rare for helping me escape youthful solitude through the magic of split screen and taking my mind off post-youth solitude by enabling my poetry, just like I wish I could have enabled DK Big Head mode to draw attention away from what girls were wearing on their feet, focusing instead on their large eyes, a normal thing to write about in a poem. Wish I could have done invisibility mode to shut off enemy AI in a world where everyone, everything is an enemy. Walk around slapping people, stand in front of my mom screaming obscenities, without losing health or armor. Load the save for my grandmother's funeral. Paintball mode plus all guns plus slow animations. Alert sound from Metal Gear Solid. Maybe I can push hers around. Oh, I'm sorry. It's if a coffin is just a box, alert sound from Metal Gear Solid. Maybe I can push hers around with the clob. The absolute horror on my relative's face displayed at half speed of the absolute detached euphoria on mine. People saying, "Holy mackerel, Rudy," or "Stop, Rudy," or "Why are you doing this?" As her brother or as her body is just covered with pink, green, blue neon paint. Her body is bouncing around on the ceiling right now. DK mode on. I'm just out here thwarting the sluggish attempts of my monkey ass relatives to catch me, to bring an end to this madness. Invincibility mode stays off. No God mode, because I don't want to be God in this moment. And if I'm lying, may he strike me down. I want God to be there, spectating. I want to make sure he's getting all this. And this last one is called Animal Crossing New Horizons. That game fucking rocks. This is a picture of my house in Animal Crossing inside here. So, yeah. Yeah, so I leave my house. COVID is outside wearing a mage's robe and impish wings. So I go back inside my house, where my foyer is a shrine to the BJP party for some reason. I can't feel my hands while I toil for scaly overseers in the sweatshop past the North Corridor. So I go into the lab. I go into a lab where they make diseases, probably, which is a side room with meticulous floor details crafted using the pattern maker, pixel by pixel, by someone outside. Not me, I am inside my house. Someone who has been plucking away at little boxes. Reynolds Skinner would be nonplussed, double plus. Somebody animating my limbs, wielding the magic wand that I use to change from my pink/green sari to my stand for the flag / kneel for the cross custom t-shirt outfit, and sorry to HJ's mom, wherever she might be at this moment, because my foyer is probably at least one shun beyond appropriate. And sorry, who is it I'm apologizing to? For what? I'm actually this bobble-headed, vaguely Southeast Asian woman dwelling in this house, my house. I live here until Tom Nook evicts me, the power is cut off, or a certain mage casts knock, initiating a home invasion. And that's it.
Man, those were awesome, man. I the GoldenEye one, the fantasy about shooting up your own grandmother's funeral with paintball mode turned on is something that only the mind of Rudy Johnson. I was, oh my God, that's just so good. That is such an indelible mental image, and I love the way it's presented in the poem. And I love the way the poem gets there too, because it's kind of set up like a lot of your game loop poems, where it's a little bit about the game, a little bit about real life, and you think, I thought, oh, okay, I get where this is going, I get like what this is gonna do, and then boom, no, total fucking swerve into this incredibly vivid and hilarious and fantastically inappropriate fantasy. And then the end of it is so good. The like, no, I want God to see this. Like the like act of rebellion there, the almost like purely satanic kind of act of like, fuck you to God, to have to sit and watch while you shoot up your own grandmother's funeral. And it gets at like the heart of, I'm thinking it's too bad Josh isn't here right now, even though he signed up to read and then blew us off, because I'm thinking of his poem, his
Dale Earnhardt one.
His Killing Dale Earnhardt poem, because this gets at a similar thing, which is the way that video games allow us to live out fantasies that are fantastically inappropriate. The way they like let us do things, horrific things without any sense of moral consequence. And the fact that that's actually kind of in an odd way a liberating and a good thing, you know? Yeah, no, man, that was awesome. The Animal Crossing one is great too. Man, I remember those days and those feels. And I like the fact that you've chosen to like write that from the perspective of your villager in Animal Crossing, which I think is a cool stylistic choice because that's what that game is all about. It's totally about dissolving any cognizance of your real life, right? And instead
Exactly.
fully inhabiting this other world and like treating the actual real life almost you almost treat real life like an intrusive thought in this poem where it like slides in for more than like no that doesn't make any sense because I'm not Rudy Johnson. I'm this like Indian woman living on this island in Animal Crossing. It's such a good like approach to the psychology of it. So that's shit. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, man. But I see Jeff has his own thing pulled out his taxidermy. Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
wait, Jeff, unmute so that we can see you
What
here.
you got here?
You probably have to say something to pop up.
My emotional support animal.
Oh my
Oh,
God,
man.
holy
Fuck
shit.
Oh yeah. Is that an anteater?
Armadillo?
Armadillo.
Armadillo, yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Alamo.
Fuck yeah.
That's fucking, man, that's rad.
Think about it.
That's awesome. Oh man.
Oh, that rocks, dude.
We should do a Misery Loves taxidermy night where instead of reading, everyone just brings their taxidermied animals because
Yeah,
Colton's
Colton's like-
watching the screen. Colton can bring all his the best parts of his dad's collection. Rudy, you can bring yours. Jeff can bring his, and I'm sure we have even more people. It would not shock me to discover that more people here regularly have taxidermied animals hanging around.
Will, you're on the right note because I too have a dead thing, but it's a dead insect with not in resin or anything yet, but it's in a little jar.
That
Oh,
counts.
man.
That counts.
That's awesome.
Dead animal night. Just
Dead
nobody
animal
bring
night.
like your relatives or anything.
I was about to say,
All
we
right.
might have to know.
You know what, Grapes? You said you wanted to read next, so you can go
I
next.
do. Awesome. Okay. So I'm reading an excerpt from a novel that I have titled Narcan Darlings. And Jeff also blessed me with what I'm calling a book deal because he's been awesome and I'm supposed to be published through Pig Roast with this piece, Narcan Darlings.
Man,
And
that's
here's
awesome.
an excerpt. Here's an excerpt from it. It's maybe like under 2 minutes long, probably under a minute. Okay. It's a rough draft, mind you. Here we go. It was the middle of the day and her piss sprinkled on her inner thighs as he hoisted her up so she could pee in the garbage can. Why couldn't I just piss in between the cars like a normal person? She screeched to her lover. Sweetie, this is more fun, he told her. He, the spiky teal-haired boyfriend nicknamed Chaos, held her tight by the ass, jolting her up and down ever so slightly over the venue owner's garbage can, wriggling the last of her piss drops out of her cooch. He whispered to her, "Come on, baby, do a couple Kegels and get that piss all the way out." Her eyes rolled into her spine. Haha. Reaching into the neighboring garbage can's overflowing newspaper, she ripped off a piece and reached in between her legs with a sliding motion back to front. I'll be right there. All right. Put me fucking down. I'm done, she exclaimed. Holding her up for another few seconds, he stared at features of her face as she grabbed his leather jacket by the lapels and made motions that she wished to be moved to a standing position on the ground. His face went for hers and his mouth lay on hers. They kissed as he held her bare ass. With her panties hovering around her knees under her blue tartan skirt, she lay tongue on him. Let's make a baby, baby, Chaos said to Rats. A baby, Rats replied. I don't want a maggot growing inside of me, Rats insisted. Chaos stayed quiet. After a moment of contemplation, he said, oh, well, fuck you too. All right, that's it for now.
Grapes, that rock. This is something that you've done in a few of your other pieces that always impresses me. You managed to find human intimacy in like moments that are not just mundane, but in this case, like viscerally like gross and upsetting, right? Like on the surface, if you had a plot like synopsis of what happened in this piece, you'd be like, oh, that's sick. But like the way you write it, you get at a real sense of the actual intimacy, the human connection that exists in this somewhat gross moment. And that's, I don't know, that's really cool. That's a really challenging thing to do, I think. And you pull it off wonderfully here.
Thank you. I'll share some more some other time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Enjoy your dinner. You said you were going to dinner.
Yeah, they're waiting for me. All right, I'll catch you guys later.
All right. See you.
Take it easy, Grapes.
Bye.
Sorry, I just need to updating the readers list here real quick. Okay. So Keith is up next. Keith, I know I said Keith had an image he wanted me to put in the chat. Oh, wait. Okay. And I cannot put that exact image in the chat, Keith, because you sent it to me over DM, and I tried to upload it into Google Photos while Grapes was reading, but for whatever reason, Google Photos wasn't taking it. So I found a close facsimile. I found a rough facsimile to the picture he sent me, and there it is. Sorry about that, Keith.
That's perfect, Will. William.
Yep, sure thing.
I am really nervous to read this story because this might be the last time I'm ever allowed to read.
Keith, what?
Oh, my screen went. Oh, I'm going to turn my phone around so that I don't get distracted. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for giving me a chance to share a story tonight, and thanks everybody for listening. So the introduction to this story is going to be very short. 3 words: transgressive, experiment, fiction. Fiction. The title of the story is John Grows Up, The Dixie Gas Station and Other Dreams. Preface. John and Lawson are best friends. They've known each other their entire lives. They know all of each other's secrets. They both love to write, and their senior English teacher is the hottest teacher in their school. She's recently divorced. Lawson is a really good writer. His 3 books have been published locally, and he's working on a 4th. John is a little bit behind on his writing skills and could use some help, but he's a good bit ahead on some other things. John and Lawson love to have fun with their writing. They have no fear of writing. All they know is the joy of writing. Life is so much fun. Laid back, mannish boy. In senior English class, the strapping young stud introduced himself. John knew that what everyone would remember from his introduction was that he said he wanted 12 children when he grew up. But what John really wanted was to get laid. to lose his virginity. His best friend Lawson knew that. He could relate. Special help for slow learners. John tells his English teacher that he has a problem. He believes that he may be two people. She smiles and asks him, "Who is the other person?" John says, "Walter Mitty." His teacher smiles. She whispers sweet nothings in his ear as she moves her hands down his body. She's melting in his arms. He can hardly contain himself. He feels his love growing for his teacher. She is really going to help him with his writing. John loves after-school tutoring. The South will rise again. It's midnight, and John has kissed his girlfriend goodnight. He leaves her house in excitement. He is jubilant. On the way home, he stops by the Dixie gas station. He parks by the men's bathroom on the side of the building. His pants are bulging, and it's not just from all the quarters in his pockets. He goes into the bathroom and takes care of business. His quarters have been replaced with the goods, and there's one less bulge in his pants when he comes out. Everything is going to come together next weekend. He is going to start practicing when he gets home. His girlfriend is going to love it. He just feels it. Killing two birds with one stone. The first time the rubber hit the road, John had a problem. It was his first practice session. John knew that he had a big problem. He told his best friend Lawson. Lawson wasn't surprised. Lawson told him that his problem was a nice one to have, but that there were no solutions. John was puzzled and distraught. He went back to his magazine and studied everything from cover to cover. He couldn't figure out how to fix his problem. John decided that he would try again every day until the next Friday. If he still had the problem, he would ask his English teacher about it when they were alone in after-school tutoring on Friday afternoon. She would know the answer, and she always loved to help him. Telling all. John confesses his problem. His English teacher tells him not to worry. She says that she can show him how to fix his problem, and he won't need to practice with his pillows anymore. She says that, like writing, perfect practice makes perfect. She gives him that smile that he loves so much. She is so hot. John thinks that he may be falling in love. He can't wait for next week's sessions, but he might not be able to wait. Fire in the hole. It's the evening of his afternoon confession, a full moon Friday night, and John and his girlfriend are going to try to come together. John's worried about his big problem, but he's not thinking about that. John spreads his little G.I. Joe sleeping bag on the bare ground behind his car. They lie down and he begins to make his move. In the throes of passion, his girlfriend lets out a blood-curdling scream. Although they both were expecting it, John thinks that her timing doesn't seem to be quite right. He opens his eyes and sees little specks everywhere. He feels his first stinging bite. A fire ant bed has been awakened. John thinks to himself, this is child's play. We both want to grow up, but this is an omen. The little fire ants just got in the way of a much bigger problem that they needed to handle. The next day, John and his girlfriend agreed to take a break from each other for a while. They did get a lot of bites. First semester exam. It's a week after the fire in the hole, and John hasn't missed an afternoon of after-school tutoring. The exam was a bit of a challenge, but in the end, everything worked out. It helped that his English teacher gave him extra time on the test after class dismissed. He scored an A+. John knew that everything from here on out was downhill. The after-school tutoring sessions were paying off, and like best friends do, John told his secret to his best friend Lawson. "Please, ma'am, may I have another?" When his English teacher smiled, John could feel his blood flowing south. He was misbehaving. His teacher spanked him in front of the class. Walking back to his desk, John was still lightheaded, and it showed. His teacher was still smiling. Lawson took notice. He was very jealous, but he needed to get his thoughts back to his writing. The South rises again and again. John and his secret friend go to the Dixie gas station, but it isn't for gas. There was only one place in town to get the novelties he needed, and they weren't sold at the corner drugstore. John confidently slipped into the outside men's bathroom on the side of the Dixie building. He knew his way around. His 8 quarters would buy 8 special times this weekend, and she loved it when he tickled her fancy. John was whistling Dixie and strutting like a peacock when he got back to his car. He could see his secret friend smiling, but he couldn't see her hands. They both knew what she was doing, so John quickly fired up his engines. This weekend was going to be hotter than the time General Sherman and his army burned down the town. John was going to light some fires. Weekends are for camping. John is becoming an expert camper. He has become especially good at rubbing 2 sticks together to start a fire. Every Friday afternoon, he tells his mom that he will be camping with his best friend Lawson. He tells her that he will be home on Sunday afternoon in time to go to youth group at church. She smiles and says, "John, you're such a good boy, and so lucky to have that sweet Lawson as your friend. Y'all have fun." "Yes, ma'am, we will. See you Sunday." 8.0 out of 10 on IMDb. John and his secret friend go to the weekend midnight movie to see The Graduate. They agree to walk in separately and that he will buy the concessions and they will meet in the middle of the back row. The plan is coming together. She sees him approaching with a big gulp in one hand and an oversized chili dilly pickle in the other. She is smiling from ear to ear. John loves the midnight movies. Moving into the big leagues. John and Lawson go on their senior class trip to Nassau in the Bahamas. Their buddies hook up with their girlfriends. John hooks up with Bahama Mamas. Lawson works on his novel. On the way home, John has to borrow $1 from Lawson. He needs to buy his mom a souvenir jar of orange marmalade at the Jacksonville bus stop. John knows how to make moms happy. Lawson takes notes and keeps on writing. Long train running. Doobies in the dark. Sweat beads dripping. John is reminiscing. He's drinking buds with his mom and Lawson. "Happy birthday, son. You're 18. You're growing up so fast." John thinks, if only mom knew. Lawson thinks, am I ever going to finish my novel? Speaking of trains, Lawson is having trouble with his writing and needs help. Lawson knocks softly on the door to the small room where John and their English teacher are hard at work. The door opens, but there's not a surprised look on his teacher's face. Lawson immediately knows that his best friend has laid the groundwork like he said he would. That's one of the things best friends do for each other. "Well, hello, Lawson. What a surprise to see you. What are you doing here at school so late?" Hello, Miss Chardon. John told me that y'all would be working late today, so I wanted to give y'all time to get finished. I'm here to ask you, Miss Chardon, if I may join you and John for after-school tutoring. I've really been having trouble with my writing lately, and I need help. I'm trying to finish my 4th book, and I'm stuck in a rut. Ms. Chardon gives Lawson a super big smile. John notices immediately, and he knows exactly where this is headed. I thought you'd never ask, Lawson. John told me that you might be a little bit intimidated by me. Don't be. I would love to help you get your fourth book finished and published. I'm here for you and John. Just ask John how much I've helped him. Miss Chardon looks over at John and sees his smile. She smiles back at John. She looks at Lawson and says, I don't think there'll be any problem with one more student. There's certainly enough room for another after what I've been handling. John has really stretched my limits. I think I can handle both of you without a problem, and we can all work together and help you clear your mind and get on top of things so that you can finish that book. Besides, John doesn't need much help anymore. He's almost teaching me. Miss Chardon laughs. John laughs. Lawson dreams. He's going to finish his fourth book. Final exams. John and Lawson passed their last semester exam with flying colors, thanks to their secret friend and extended after school and weekend tutoring sessions. They are both going to graduate with honors. As a reward, their secret friend gives them a really special treat at her house, and afterwards, they all head to the Friday night midnight movie to watch the special double feature, Deep Throat and Harold and Maude. Epilogue. Summer Camp Adventures. Lawson has finished his fourth book, and with Miss Chardon's help, it gets picked up by a major publishing house. The Paris Review is coming soon to do an interview, and there's talk that Lawson's book may even be made into a movie. Lawson is going to be rich and famous. John continues to write his poems and short stories and memoirs of his young life, but there's not much hope for his future in writing. But John has recognized some other gifts and talents, and together, Lawson and Ms. Chardon are going to help John fulfill his potential. And they've got some help. John has recently brought his old girlfriend into the mix, and she is living and loving this like there's no tomorrow. She told John that he is going to be rich and famous too. She just feels it inside her. Everyone agrees that they are all going to enjoy the riches of the good life. There's going to be enough to go around for everyone. Life is so much fun, and to just think that this all began with writing. The end.
Keith, so Keith, I'm glad that was an entirely fictional story, because if it was not an entirely fictional story, that scenario with the fire ants, I imagine, would be incredibly painful. But
that was the only true part in the whole story.
But setting the fire ants aside, this was very good, Keith. Very funny throughout, and I think you do a really great job of capturing that like nostalgia for that moment of like coming of age, right? It really, in a way that isn't, a lot of writing about coming of age is like deeply cheesy or really like sentimental in all the wrong ways. Instead, you really get at the awkwardness and the humor and without like robbing that period in our lives of any of its like intrinsic power and intrinsic meaning. So this is a very good piece. I loved all the Dixie stuff. I loved the stuff about the line about I like burning down the town like Sherman or whatever it was.
Oh, that was true too.
Priceless. Yeah, that happened. Yeah. But thank you, Keith. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
Keith, the South will rise again. My God, it's fucking good. Fuck. Fucking both Colton and I are losing it in the chat about that.
Like, we both realized at the same time. We were like, "Oh
Right?
my God!"
I was like, "Oh yeah." Keith, that was amazing. That was really, really good.
So good.
Oh my goodness.
I was trying to write it like a very juvenile person would write a story.
It was very good.
You definitely nailed it there. And yeah, like both Rudy and Colton said, the fucking the chapter titles were very good, and the whole like the integrating the like Dixie gas station into it is just ingenious because
That was true too.
boy, Keith, more and more of the story is turning out to be true. Anyway, Keith, that was very good, a lot of fun.
Okay, I won't say anything else. I want to plead the fifth. I don't want to incriminate myself any further.
Okay. All right. Thank you, man.
Thanks.
And John is up next. Johnny Hollywood. How are you doing, Johnny Hollywood?
I'm doing all right.
Good, good.
Going on. Okay, well, here's a poem. I hate grocery shopping. It's a routine I can't handle anymore. It's no coincidence that secret shoppers share initials with the Stiftswaffles. I pour a half gallon on the floor and I feel a bit free, but grocery store detectives track my footsteps and confiscate my belongings and send me to the dairy farm and firebomb my house and execute my parents and charge me for milk I didn't even drink. That's it.
You said it was going to be a short poem. Oh man, I love the grocery store detective. So, and this is like the most condensed possible version of one of your stories, and it's still you managed to get all of the great elements of a John Padula story in here. Like it has that like it starts in that kind of mundane way, and you do that thing where you like appropriate all these mundane details and give them this new absurd meaning, and it has that same kind of sense of escalating like insanity and absurdity. I love the grocery store cops, and I love the idea of the grocery store cops um sending you to the dairy farm and killing your family, and I love that you end on the like charging you for milk that you didn't even drink. Because it comes back to that, like you find your way back to the mundane, in I think in a way that makes the whole thing even funnier. So good stuff, John.
Thank you.
Johnny Hollywood. When is the Hollywood tie-in for this the movie tie-in?
Every day, my life's a movie.
Hey, like a movie?
All right, and so I think unless someone else wanted to read something, I think Colton wanted to share one more piece to close out the night.
All right, I'm sending the same link. I just deleted and uploaded. So, Summer of Gooch, that it was spoken by Adam Johnson on Twitter. I need to find the tweet somewhere, but it's something that I knew that I was gonna like pigeonhole myself. Like, all right, I love the Gooch Summer thing. I'm gonna write a lot about it. So I started writing the second one. So this is a bit of what I have of the Summer of Gooch 2 from this summer, because summer's technically still not over. We still have September, but yeah, I just want to read a little bit, just enough to where I can give y'all like an idea of where I'm going with it and how ridiculous I want it to be. But yeah, so this is the Summer of Gooch 2. Ball 1, soft plunge. When you're addicted, you don't want to stop. You can't stop. At least until something stops you. When I started playing pinball, it was the only thing that I wanted to do. I bounced around different substances, different media outlets, and different ways to empty my balls with strangers, but none of that came close to how I felt being in front of a pin. Something about the competition, seeing yourself improving, and the camaraderie of regular, ordinary people. I didn't want to stop. Riding the high of this new 21st century pinball surge feels surreal. All of these fresh off the production line machines popping into local arcades. Foo Fighters, Godfather, Pulp Fiction, Scooby-Doo, James Bond, Venom. I mean, the list goes on. Who the fuck needs a home console? In the pinball arcade, you feel like you're a part of the ever-multiplying universe of modern-day culture, but still separated enough to focus on the unique machine that you're playing. You realize over time that when you play pinball enough, you're inevitably playing against yourself. You're breaking yourself down mentally and physically. Your brain extends itself through wood and metal so that you're in the code, on the play field, and around each corner and crevice of the pin. You become the machine's dependent repairman. You become 2 flippers and a shiny silver ball. You become every rubber, screw, and bolt. You get to suspend yourself in this confined space of glass and pine. You get to beat yourself and challenge yourself. You're in control of your own bionic plunge. Broken rubber. Oh, faithful pinball, America's pastime, a past crime reborn anew. Balls traveling across mylar plastic. You hear from across the bar, "God damn it, Slim's broke it again." To which your buddy replies, "Don't you worry, I got backups. Like Mama always say, always carry an extra rubber with you." My Polish buddy Oswald always keeps spare parts for different pinball machines in the trunk of his Tesla. Oswald's dad owns all the pinball machines that are stored in a museum over in Krakow, Poland. After his mother died, Oswald and his father decided to fly to America so that they could tour different universities and talk to engineering students interested in pinball. I think he's even got some meetings scheduled with Stern in the near future. Out of all the machines that Oswald's dad owns, Oswald enjoys playing the pins that have animals or human-animal hybrids as part of the theme. Oswald finds comfort in his furry identity, and he's been lucky to find different pins that he can play. Oswald and I met during a tournament one afternoon, and the game we played on together was the Baracora Williams 1981 machine. It's not necessarily the fetish side of being a furry that Oswald enjoys, even though he does like the size of the jugs on the female mouse seen on the Bally 1989 mouse in a round back glass. Oswald doesn't speak English very well, so he can't really relate to many people in America like he did back home. But this kind of anthropomorphism evokes something familiar. It's a fun routine that helps him meet other furries. It makes sense though. Like going to a dog park and meeting dogs is fun. Everybody loves animals more than humans. When Oswald explained it to me, being with animals didn't seem so weird. Not like that though. Oswald's favorite machine is the Bally 1994 World Cup soccer machine, featuring Striker, the World Cup mascot dog. It reminds him of his dog that he had to leave behind in Poland. As Oswald goes to fix the broken orange rubber on the 1989 Bad Cats Williams machine, I look over the lineup of new pins in the bar and notice the same few guys playing on the older solid state machines in the corner of the bar. They're dressed up all in their Charles Tyrwitz, I think, and navy blue flat caps. I go up to the bartender and strike up a conversation. "You seen those goobers over there?" The bartender looks up from counting their tips. "Yeah, I noticed those fellas been coming in more and more frequently. I remember hearing they came from that billiards bar, except they don't play pool. They play foosball." "Foosball players, eh?" I said, eyeing the new guests and their new presence. "Yeah, they're adapting really well to the older pins. Haven't really seen what they can do on the modern machines, but regardless, they're damn good." "Well, let's just hope these jokers don't try to start any trouble. Pinball's new pulse is going to attract a lot of people, but you got to draw a line at some point." "Well, they're Brits, so I think trouble just got airdropped onto our doorstep." Ball 2, ball search. Put me into a small cabinet, like a small storage space. Strip me naked. Tie up my feet so I can't run away. When I get restless, I want you to open up the small door to my crawl space and just mouth fuck me. Pull me up by my hair and violate my throat. Don't let me tap out. I need to enjoy. Keep forgetting I'm at a hotel. Don't let me tap out. I need to enjoy all of your cock. Force my mouth to dribble sticky slime down your balls. Let me clean you up with my face and bruised lips. I want to break loose and escape and start sucking your cock when you're trying to work. I'll grab your balls and stun you and aggressively jerk your dick with both of my hands, using my throat gunk as lube. I'll immediately wrap my mouth around your shaft and inhale all of my spilled out insides. I want to be such a distraction. My bouncing tits covered in regurgitation and my curly hair wet with gag. I want the tongue around your asshole, looking closer towards your G-spot. Seeing you squirm and come will make me want to come, so I'll fuck myself really quickly, fingering my clit intensely for you, and I'll take my cunt juices and give them to you in scooped handfuls in a hotel, so you can lick up the streams of my leaking hole and tell me I'm a disgusting whore. Do you think about putting stuff inside other people? I want you to put things inside me. Put your ideas inside me. Put long root vegetables inside my mouth. Put your pinball tools inside of me. Punish me by putting the plunge in different balls on a string into my asshole. Put lube onto your fist and knuckle tickle my cervix while you use a pop bumper to torture my nipples. I read this sext as I'm practicing my flipper control skills on the new Pioneer Gottlieb 1976 pin. I think about what I need to say. That's all I got so far.
Colton, I so you're at a hotel. So are you alone in the room at least, or?
Yeah, it's like this. It's like a not small hotel, but it's like you have lobby area, and then you have
Mhm.
like this little closed off office area. There's like
Oh,
little
okay.
sliding doors. Like, don't think people heard me. And it's also like 8:30 on a Friday. I don't know, but
Still, setting aside whether or not other people heard your performance, that was awesome, man. I love the like anthropological level of detail about pinball, especially in the first section. And so pinball is having a kind of moment, huh? Again?
it's like so. What how it's been explained to me is like pinball before COVID was really big. Like you had Pinberg and you had this guy Papa Pinball who was like uploading pinball YouTube videos like constantly, and you can find his videos on YouTube, and they're like not only is he really good, but while he's playing, he can explain the game to you. Then
Wow.
right, I mean, like it's incredible. He's just like, yeah, I'm gonna hit this shot, and he hits it like stupid fucking good. But COVID hits, and so like a bunch of places lose money, a bunch of people lose interest. I mean, people aren't going out to play pinball. Like everything's
Sure.
fucked. So all I know is in Memphis, when I went to the pinball bar, it opened up in 2022, 21, something like that, and I was just immediately hooked. And Stern has just been partnering and getting all these good licensing rights for all these different machines. The fucking God damn it, what's Pulp Fiction? Quentin Tarantino was actually like, involved with the making of the Pulp Fiction machine. So
Really?
yeah, he was like, if we're gonna make a machine, it's gonna be a classic looking machine. And they're like, all right, cool. Like
That makes sense to me. That's exactly the kind of thing that he would be like anally interested in
oh
sure.
yeah, oh shit, you're like, you just gotta know the guy who was like, yeah, we can let Quentin be on the team. Everyone else was like, ah, fuck, like all right,
Man,
this is
I want to
Quentin.
play the Pulp Fiction pinball machine. Man.
It's just and for me, pinball reminds me of bowling. So I think about I forget that one, like that Putnam essay, about like bowling in America. Like
Mhm, mhm.
it's just something cool. Like I go, like I don't care about fucking anything. I have the same conversations about pinball every time. Like it was a nasty drain. Oh, the pinball machine's tough, and it's just so fucking like not effortless in like a zombie way, but like it's something to do.
Like flow state kind of shit.
Yes, like it's like this is the healthiest gambling addiction I'm ever gonna have. It's like I'm enjoying it now.
Yeah, right, right. Man, that's awesome. I want to see some indie press do like an imprint of books that's just focused on like the personal hobbies and obsessions of like outsider lit people. And you can have a Summer of Gooch pinball book, and Josh Sherman can have his pegging Hot Wheels book, and Rudy can put out his thing about his video game poetry collection, and all this shit that's just like about the intersection of like gaming and hobbyist culture and literature, right? Instead of, because there's like writing about that shit, but it's all from a very journalistic perspective. And
Right. And it tends to
literature,
go into like fantasy, like I mean
yeah,
like Stranger Things is literally just D&D fucking to like the done in such a great way where you're like, fuck, I want to go play D&D now.
right,
Like
right, right. Yeah. Jeff says do it, Willie. I don't know if I don't think I'm in a position to do that, but I do think it would be I would be really interested in it because so much of like the culture right now is hobbyist culture. Like everyone's
yeah,
got their niche hyperfixation interest, and to see that really explored from a literary angle, like you're doing in these pieces, and like Sherman is doing in pegging and his writing about Hot Wheels. It's interesting. It's really interesting shit. Uh, anyway, thank you, Colton. I thought that was the end of the night, but Ryan wanted to read, and also somehow I guess Troy got completely overlooked, and I apologize, Troy. So Ryan and then Troy can close out the night.
Oh shit, there we go. Okay, hi. Yeah, after the reading like 2 weeks ago or whatever, I was like I botched like every fifth word. So I just wanted to get in a reading where I didn't like botch every word. So I'm gonna link it and I'm just gonna read it's just a short section called Sage, so if you want to read it, you can just control F. Okay. Tammy talks to a sidewalk weed, spilling in stabs from tri-sunlight bleached pavement. The grub's absence and her body's presence hit her in waves, in sequence, a melody of feels kept tuned by the binary. She's in the clothes she'd stepped into the interwave with. Had she talked to Cat Eyes before she'd left? Can't remember. All that before what the interwave had done to her. After she drank juiced Tri-Sun from the nightlights. No, she thinks. Was that the interwave? Was that something else? She wasn't sure, finding herself talking to the weird weed tangled through the sidewalk. She'd been losing herself through MemDep, and it's the weed talking to her that clues her in that she's been getting the schizophrenia spam sessions in, fitting them into pockets of absent memory, honing her own depth chest skills, as if to prep herself for something final coming, something her conscious self would not know to prepare for, would call that prep toxic. The weed says the streets are empty and there's no one but you. This isn't true. She sees stragglers like always down the chiseled lane. From this she knows it's all a depth chess puzzle, one where for the moment she's outmatched. Who are you? She says. You're new here. I'm new here. Hopeless. She needs Jules' read on it, she thinks, because someone broke sequence somewhere, and she thinks it may have been her, through him. Without the grub shell, she's free to move. Still, she doesn't want to attract the eyes of other cluster refs. If they're seeing it, the valley of eyes through them. Began as some neurosis in the unseen loom, but they didn't know more than that, and Jewel'd been more worried about something else. That left all the Noia for her to absorb, to process like she was a sponge for it, and the focus of every roaming depth gamer besides. Play the tape back, she thinks, and here I am talking to a flower. Somewhere in all those spam sessions would be the key to getting through this, the right tech absorbed and looped through her subconscious, and gray is the color of it. She thinks, I should be neutral if I'm blind, if I can't even see who I'm fighting. Neutral Lotus is what the spiders translated into their oraclehood. That's funny. That stuff sticks, Ickbug, and you can get caught in it. Hell this, she thinks. I'm sure of it now. So she's about to process if it's time to try Jewel when she hears, in the daylight, the first war cry of the new day. Stabbing the hot air with the calls of the Gaijin Street Samurai, modulated through their hypertech, loaded out by true Megacorp sponsorship, the favored to take the clusters this pro gang season. That's it. That's the section. I just wanted to do a short thing with that fucking.
First of all, Ryan, I love the idea of the Gaijin Street Samurai. That's such a great that's such a great name for like a gang in this kind of like cyberpunk like internet game set.
I'm
setting.
glad you liked it because
I-
my problem with a lot of cyberpunk and stuff is that like the fake gangs they make up are always like super lame. So I tried to
Yeah,
like make up a funny one.
no, exactly. This is
Actually glad-
fantastic because it feels exactly like that, almost like it's a parody of the stupid the stupid kind of things that you see in some cyberpunk stories that
There's
are
some
trying
bullshit,
so
and-
hard to be like cool, right? Like trying so hard to be hip and edgy, and instead it's the Gaijin Street Samurai.
If
So-
you read, just a short aside, if you read the
Yeah.
Neuromancer sequel, the gang he makes up for that is just like vampire larpers. It's like it's the lamest shit. It totally turned me off that book. Anyway, yeah.
that's so good because that's how it actually is to be inhabiting a like a game in like cyberspace, right? Like if you're playing an MMO, it's not a bunch of like really hip, edgy shit. It's all like super lame guys coming up with stuff that they thought
Oh
was
yeah,
cool, but
there's gonna be
that's
like
actually not. So
yeah.
that's awesome. But as usual, man, I just love your prose. I love the way that like meaning is always present in the way in your writing, but you have to like fight for it as a reader. It's like it's like you're subconsciously implanting meaning in the reader instead of just directly communicating meaning to that. It's really fascinating the way you write. Like on the weed paragraph, like there's that line I put in the chat. She'd been losing herself through MEMDEP, and it's the weed talking to her that clues her that she's been getting the schizophrenia spam sessions in. Like that is
Yeah.
that's so good because like you read that and you understand it before you understand it. Like you grok it before you like understand it on a semantic level. And that I don't know, a lot of your writing, excuse me, does that, and it's really rad. Man.
Um, thank you. That's actually a reference to something that happened earlier. That was a concept I brought up earlier. But that's I am sort of trying to do that, just create like an impressory effect that sort of hopefully accomplishes something, even if you can't really tell what's going on. Like
Right, right. And that's present in a lot of your writing, where you get the sense of like you're taking in this whole alien world at once, and it's not being like carefully portioned out and and structured in a way that like is obviously for the reader's benefit or something, which is something that a lot is present in a lot of uh like fantasy fiction and genre fiction that I don't really like that sense of like where it's the author's like I'm gonna break it down for you now, and that
oh yeah.
like takes me way out of the piece, and your work doesn't do that, which is really refreshing.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll
Rudy.
let oh okay.
Oh, sorry,
Um
Ryan or Rudy or whoever.
Oh no, go ahead, Ryan.
oh I was just gonna say it's probably time to get Troy on, but shit,
Oh,
I don't know.
I just wanted
I
to
don't
say the Street Samurai shit and the corporation, the Mega Corps, where it has a real Shadowrun vibe to it. I really like that where you like kind of mix that with your regular stuff with like the consciousness and the flowing states and kind
yeah.
of consciousness shit. I like that. It's like the Shadowrun. I guess the thing they go onto the internet, the cyber world or whatever, where they do that shit. That's pretty cool. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, that's like I have a bunch of sort of settings and characters in this, but these are the settings and characters that I think are the most grounded in like the traditional sort of cyberpunk sense. They're just running around using computers and essentially like a future hyper internet and all that shit. So
Oh yeah, no, it's
yeah.
awesome.
Thank you, Ryan. And Troy is closing out the night.
What's up? Can you guys hear me?
Perfectly.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm reading something I finished this week. I'm bad with titles. It's called Finding Atlantis. If I could corrugate anything, thought Sarah, it would be my body into cardboard when the cold months come. She leaned back and smiled. The road beneath her shook up through the tires and into her spine. That's silly, she said, laughing at herself. Then she quieted and thought, time will do its work. Sleet coughed against the bus. The movements of her body twinned the physics of steel traveling too fast through a whiteout world. Visibility just a small bag on her lap, the various angles of certain seats and shadow, characters ahead and behind her, the overhead passenger light like a vague hand guiding her back inside beyond the shadows. The rim of the earth gleamed, a crescent moon had slashed the dusk ocean into a comforting smile. Sarah cut the lamp off and felt the warmth of sand. The wind whipped the sand against her, vibrating her body. The waves looked like clouds scrimmaging for space in an unfriendly sky. She looked out into that impossible distance, sea air thick as taffy on her lips. She licked them and swallowed an ocean. If we could find the boat, she thought. They trailed. The thoughts blurred into a blinding pain. Light flooded her vision, though it was a small amount. A man across the aisle inspected an atlas, the bus quiet then, save the natural groan of its running. You remind me of my brother, she said, always trying to find a way. The man looked at her and put the light out. The ocean had receded and displayed a buffet of anemones and starfish and mussels, the quiet depths of the lunar pole. Sarah's brother Jack picked up a starfish after feeling the suck of an anemone. The starfish stuck to his hand. He laughed. The only way to get the thing off was to tear it limb by limb from his flesh. And later, Sarah waved goodbye as he got onto a fishing boat. She had always loved the way he smiled. A horn sounded, the window frozen over, ice crystals like distant dying suns, the driver struggling to harness his will against the sheer force of the storm. Sarah sensed his fear. She sensed why she was there. God, she said, and she whispered a prayer, unknown even to her. It came like a vapor from her being. Then there was a loud sucking sound. The lights went out. There was Jack tumbling, being taken away by the waves, and a fire screaming way up in the sky that couldn't pull him from the tide. Sarah burned her hand reaching into the water, the cardboard-like skin of her body just enough tender to keep the fire going and lead them to the boat, which still travels the meridian of her palm. Nobody understood it when the bus was found. All right, that's it. Thank you, guys.
Troy, that was fucking awesome. That was beautifully written. I love that line that still travels the meridian of her palm. What a fucking absolutely gorgeous and evocative line. And this whole piece it's just wonderfully atmospheric. And it's unlike, I think, a lot of the previous pieces that you've read at Misery Loves Company. You're often someone who is really like tuned into interpersonal relationships between characters in a way that's very focused on dialogue and psychological dynamics between characters. And instead, you've written what is a really wonderfully, like almost purely atmospheric piece that's about that's still like examining human psychology, right? But that's like examining it through like the lens of like landscape and of beauty. And oh man, it's just a gorgeously written piece. And it's just wonderful, Troy. Thank you for sharing it.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. GG. GG with the Trump mugshot. I'm surprised it took this long for the Trump mugshot to make an appearance tonight. Anyway, thank you, Troy. That was awesome. And I think we'll close it out there probably, unless anyone else had anything to say. So okay, yeah, I think we're done. All right, so this has been Misery Loves Company. As usual, I'll leave the Zoom reading open for anyone who wants to stick around and hang out. Thank you to everyone who read. It was a great night. It's another one of those fucking nights where we start with like 3 people signed up, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be 15 minutes long. Oh, shit. And then it turns into a really fantastic night with a lot of really great readings and a really rich variety of readings, too. I see Colton flexing there, throwing me off. Anyway, this has been an awesome night. If you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, we do this every Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. You're welcome to join us if you want to. We tweet out the link from our Twitter account at Misery Tourism right before the show begins. All right, that's it. Thanks, guys. This has been wonderful.